out there. Hey, today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I'm in Northern California. This is February 8th, 2014. And it looks like our drought is over. And I can only hope it's Mother Nature that ended it and not these idiots with their weather modification and cloud seeding schemes. These usurpers of Mother Nature. I'd much prefer that we leave things in her hands than their hands. And that seems to be a lot to ask. Right now I'm looking at trying to find a Bible passage, and I've got this big concordance. It's Strong's Concordance, the big one. It's got this beautiful picture of a tubing wave on it. You see that? I love it. And the nice thing about a concordance, as opposed to just doing stuff online, is that it somehow feels more handy to hold it in your hand and be able to flip through and find stuff, because you can end up on sites that want to charge you, join a subscription and all that stuff, but if you can successfully find a concordance online, go for it. But I prefer to hold one. I'm trying to look up a passage from Scripture that refers to the way that we see things in this world. And I thought the word dimly would be in there, and I was looking up dimly to see if I could find the passage I was looking for. But I couldn't find that. So now another word I'm pretty sure I'm going to find is mirror. So now I just need to locate it just like you would use a dictionary. I am looking through this, and here we go. Mirror. Okay, let's see. Oh, here we go. I think it's 1 Corinthians 13:12. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. Now I'm going to pick up my King James Version Bible, and I know that's in the New Testament, of course, toward the end. And here we go. Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. Here I am. I could have looked in the index too, but I just decided to flip through it since I sort of knew where it was. Okay. Let's see here. Uh... 1 Corinthians 13:12. Okay, 13:12. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. And I love that because it indicates this state of confusion that the vast majority of people are in. And we have to explore why we're in this state of confusion. Is it inadvertent, or is it intentional? And I contend that it is very much intentional. That humanity has been infiltrated for thousands of years by a ruthless gaggle of murderous thugs. These are the people Jesus went off on. It was these hypocrites, these people that live by a double standard. They would have you put to death, but do you think they would like to be put to death? No, of course not. And so you see the mentality of these people is just, it's evil. It's evil. They know that they are hypocrites. They know they're elitists. In their minds, their sick, twisted minds, they believe they're more important than you or I. And it's important that we know what's going on here. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the meaning of words and what's happened, and how definitions have devolved. And I don't believe it's an innocent happenstance. That I believe it's quite intentional. I mean, let's take a word like anti. If I say to you, I am extremely, decidedly, flatly anti-establishmentarian. So in other words, I don't only despise the establishment, but I have a disdain for the establishment. And I'm not talking about a living being. I'm talking about a concept of control over the general public. That's all that's going on here. We're divided between establishmentarians and anti-establishmentarians. And we have to go back to the original meaning of the word anti, because today the word's been destroyed. And anti, as everybody that's listening would agree, today means against. That if you're anti something, you're against it. And I would suggest to you that the original interpretation has a more proper intention, definition. And the original meaning of the word anti was simply a substitute, a stand-in. So looking at it in that concept, you can see that being anti-establishmentarian means I'm against this substitute for what should be a right establishment, because every word has a meaning, and right and wrong have a meaning. And if you have an establishment that is morally deficient, then it is not a proper establishment. It is not a good establishment. It is indeed a bad establishment by virtue of the fact that its manifestations are wicked and evil. It's unfair. It is cruel and inhuman. And it is very prejudiced. For example, poor people in this day and age are thought of as having some moral deficiency. But nothing could be further from the truth. If anybody has a moral deficiency, it would be the wealthiest people. It would be those people like Jesus said. He said, it's harder for the rich to go to heaven than for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle. So why on earth would anybody think of the poor as being morally deficient? It's quite the contrary in reality. But our reality has been so skewed. This is why we see darkly, as though through a mirror. Because it's by intention of the people that are controlling us. And it's imperative that they keep us in this state. Because when you confuse the people through intentional devolution, devolving the devolution of a word, through our universities, our school system, through the mainstream media, these are their main methods of misinforming the public, deceiving us. We are effectively deceived. We have, in essence, believed a lie. It's that simple. And it doesn't make us bad because we believed a lie, because you want to believe that you can trust somebody. But you see, we should know that's not the case. We should by now know that we can't trust the establishment, that indeed there is wicked people at the very top. But yet we are scared. We have a need. We have needs of survival. And we know that money is a big part of our need to survive. And so the establishment, being that provider of our needs, is a tool of the devil. Basically, it's that simple. But we don't see it. We don't see it because we're all immersed in it. We've all been so utterly marinated in this system that we really can't even think straight. It's really hard for us to really know moral absolutes, right from wrong, and say that definitely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is wrong. Now, in order for us to understand the true meaning of history, to see the portrayal that is being conveyed to us in a history book or whatever other source there is out there for supposedly conveying true, accurate history, let me ask you, if we don't understand the distinction between the original meaning of the word and how the word is conveyed today, how it is portrayed, the new meaning, the destroyed meaning, the devolved meaning of the word, then are we getting accurate information from history? No, we're not. So it's imperative to understand what's going on here. And we also have to know that when you read history, there's a lot of words that exist today that have been invented that didn't exist back then. So you had to find the old meaning and understand the old and the new. So you take a word, for example, like ego. And to my knowledge and understanding, that word doesn't exist in the Bible, and I'm going to look in this concordance and see if I'm correct. Now this concordance, although it's for the New International Bible, it's still pretty thorough. Well, I looked up ego, and it is not in this Strong's exhaustive concordance. So this is a new word. While I was at it, I decided to look up the word elitist. And elitist does not exist. But the closest word to elitist I could think of is hypocrite. People living by a double standard. One set of rules for them because they're special for whatever reasons is going on in their sick mind, and you're not. But elite appears once but this is in the New Translation, so even the word elite didn't exist. It's in Ezekiel 23:7. And of course, elite, if you look up elite in a dictionary today, even though this word didn't exist thousands of years ago, you might not find the association between elite, as just being a special force, like the elite Marines or something like that. But, you're looking at more, elitist is that, special. We're special. We're better than you. We're the elitist, they're these hypocrites is really what it amounts to. They're just hypocrites. So that word didn't exist either. But hypocrite would supplant that pretty well. Now, ego, I think that the best way that you could describe ego from an ancient word would be, the selfish nature. That instinct to just think about ourselves and nobody else. The vanity, perhaps you could inject vanity into that. And also I think it might be proper to inject false pride. Not when we do good acts, we want to make sure that it's clear in our minds and hearts where we learn to do good acts. And always honor God above all else, not ourselves. That doesn't mean anything. It's through honoring God that we'll find happiness. And the ego won't bring us happiness. And, having false pride and being vain and being selfish will not bring us happiness either. So we want to invest in real things. And it's very important for us to distinguish those things that are real from those things that are not real.